Hey everyone, this is Kamila Gornia, your digital marketing strategist, and I'm doing a little bit of a new series kind of thing. I'm calling it Heart Behind the Hustle, and I'm going to be interviewing some of my favorite people, some people I've worked with, and just people that I admire. And the person that we're going to be talking to today is both. So Suzanne Adams is a motivational speaker, a life purpose consultant, and the author of an upcoming trilogy, Musings of an Earth Angel. And we're going to be talking about the book in just a little bit, so hold your horses. But the first thing I want to just say is welcome, Suzanne. I'm super excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yay, I hope that your day is going great. Suzanne is just amazing. Her and I have been working together for the past 3 months, I believe, with the launch of her book and launch of her business too. So I'm really excited to cover some of this in the interview today. So before we dig into the book and your business, why don't you tell us a little bit, Suzanne, about what a life purpose consultant actually does and what it is?
Okay, so a life purpose consultant is something that kind of evolved naturally for me. And I feel like it'll be easier for me to explain it if I tell you how it naturally evolved. And I personally believe that in order to live a life of true fulfillment and happiness, that you have to align yourself with your life purpose. Mm-hmm. And my life purpose is to teach people how to live a life of happiness and fulfillment. So what happened was, as I was shifting out of my corporate job and into aligning myself with my purpose, people started to see this big shift in the way I was behaving and in my happiness and fulfillment level. And people started naturally coming to me saying, give me some of what you got, basically. So what happened was I started teaching about life purpose, and then I realized that there was a missing piece, is that people needed help getting clarity on what their life purpose was. People needed help finding someone that could help them implement their life purpose into their day-to-day life, whether it's via their current job or if they wanted to make some sort of transition. So what happened was I started serving people as a life purpose consultant and basically helping them get clarity on their life purpose, but then also serving as almost a matchmaker for a life coach or for someone that can really help that person to achieve their goals very fast and very quickly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. So let's say a person comes to you and they're like, Suzanne, I just don't know what my life purpose is. What would you do? How do you actually get that person to be like, oh, light bulb?
Well, I just have a list of questions that I ask them, and I would schedule a session with us so I could help to drill down for them. It's very easy. You typically, your life purpose is something that you always have felt called to do, something you've always wanted to do, something that you're passionate about. It's just most of us, for our life purpose, we think that we can't make a living doing our life purpose, but really that's not true at all, or it wouldn't be your life purpose. So the first step I would do is just to have a session with myself and that person to really get some answers and clarity. And then from there, I would give them exercises to do, and you really kind of gauge from an intuitive standpoint about what that person needs and where they are, because your life purpose varies on where you are in your path as well. So your life purpose right now could just simply be to bring happiness and joy to whatever it is you're doing, or it could be more extreme for somebody who's at the point where they're just miserable and really, really are ready to make a shift into something totally different.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And since I started reading your book, I'm just really that's really interesting. Her book is great, and we'll talk about this in a second. But before we talk about the actual book, I would love it if you could tell us, because I know your story is really interesting, and you've told me your story a couple times. So I would love it if you could share just your story of how you became, how you ended up where you are today with, everything that you had to go through to actually, become this author, amazing person that you are.
Thank you so much, Kamila. Okay, so basically, if you had known me before, you would not have thought that I was miserable, because I wasn't. And I was never miserable. And I always thought that I was living a happy life. But what happened for me is I searched my entire life through fulfillment externally, and I found it most of the time. And through externally, I mean through careers, through career achievements, through romantic relationships, through opinions of others. And that worked for a while. And from a career standpoint, I was always able to do things that people told me I could never do. And I just had this feeling in my stomach that I was meant to do certain things and that I could achieve them. And every time I had that feeling and I trusted it, I was able to achieve the things that everyone told me I could never do. And what happened was I got to a very satisfying place in a career. I had my dream job. I worked with amazing clients. I was very successful at that career, and I was fulfilled for a couple of years. But what happened is, in time, it was just never enough. And that was a pattern for me throughout different companies that I had worked with. It was always enough at first, and then after a few years, it was never enough. So I started to really think there's got to be more to life than this. I just felt like I was going through the motions. I started to just feel like in the pit of my stomach, something telling me you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then I started to take inventory, and here I was. I was just searching, and I was searching, like I said, I was searching through external fulfillment, and I started to learn that the only place that you can really find fulfillment is by going within. And a woman asked me a question that changed my life forever, and she asked me, I guess to backtrack just a little bit, I was kind of in a low place at this point because I was off of a couple of different romantic relationships that weren't working out, so I was just feeling like a failure from that perspective. And then I was at a job that should be great, but it wasn't fulfilling me. And so I felt like something was wrong with me because I had this job that everybody would want, and it wasn't enough for me. And then I did a home renovation, which sounds silly, but it just brought me to my knees. And it was very unorganized, and my stuff, there was just dust all over it. I know it's just stuff, and that's not really what you should place value on, but when your home is torn up and you don't have a roof and there's just literally just dust and crap all over the place, it was not good for me. And I ended up moving out unexpectedly and was homeless and had to figure it out for about 4 months. So that was just really kind of what got me thinking, like, there has to be something I'm missing here. And a woman asked me a question, and she said, Suzanne, what would you do if you weren't limited? And still to this day, this question baffles me because I was like, what do you mean? Of course I'm limited. Everyone's limited. And she got really quiet and she said, well, tell me what's limiting you. And it was like this light bulb just came on in my head. And I was like, holy crap, nothing is limiting me. And I'm the one that's limiting myself. And that really just kind of triggered me to start doing a lot of research and to start asking questions and to start studying happiness, basically. And that's when I learned about a life purpose. And I learned that we all put limitations on ourselves from what society expects of us, from what we've been brought up to think, and from what we take on these limitations from what other people tell us we should be. And everyone does that, and it's very easy to step out of it if you can just acknowledge that you're doing that and then get really, really clear on what it is you want and what makes you happy. And then there's some different ways that you can do that, but the first way is just to really notice and to start to get still and to start to ask yourself what you want and what makes you happy, and not what everyone else expects of you.
And that's really, really like a very, I mean, I'm still like speechless a little bit because you definitely share a little bit more than you typically share on like the webinars and stuff. So I was like, wow, that's really fascinating. So where does your book fall into that timeline?
Well, okay, so after I started, after I had that conversation with that woman, I realized, all right, there's a lot more to this world than I'm aware of. And I started really researching, and I read a book called The Seat of the Soul, and that book just really resonated with me, and it taught me a lot about life purpose and happiness and freedom. And what I started to do is I started journaling. I started meditating every single day, and as I was journaling, I started writing, and I was asking the universe, show me what I'm here to do, show me what I'm here to do, tell me what I'm missing. And before you know it, I had this beautiful story of Samantha Kingston traveling the world that was coming out onto the pages. And the book is inspired by a lot of my real life events. And so it was very therapeutic for me to start getting these stories onto the paper. And the book is totally transformed from what it was at that point. But at that moment, I knew that I had a very important and very special story to tell that I needed to share with the world, and a story that could help transform so many people's lives.
Yeah. And so I've been reading the book, and I think I'm on I've been kind of devouring it, honestly. I spent like an hour last night before bed reading it this morning. So I'm definitely hooked. I think I'm like chapter 6 or 7, but to people that don't know about the book, why don't you tell us a little bit more about like what, just what it is?
Okay. So basically it's a story about a girl who has some struggles and learns a lot of the same lessons that I learned about life purpose and about happiness and about divine communication. And she had the perfect boyfriend and the perfect job and the perfect Friday nights. She was a party girl, and it all kind of came crashing down on her. So basically the book is her journey and her story of figuring out what her true calling is and what her true path is. And all the while she's hit with the demon brigade, who's constantly after her and who wants to take her down. And the demon brigade comes after her the same way that we all have to deal with demons in our lives, through negative opinions of others, through expectations of others, through ego, which is a really big feat for every human being to battle, and then plus a little more fantasized ways as well. And she just goes on this journey traveling the world, and she's led by the divine, and I don't know, I love it. I think it's just a magical, really fun story, and I think that people can get lost in it, and it's a way for people to really up-level their game and to escape in a fun, magical way without having to pick up a self-help book.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's really interesting, and I already know a couple of people that I'm gonna tell about the book when it's ready. So I'm really excited about that. So so you're an author, and I know there's a lot of people that are probably watching that are authors too, or they want to become authors, but you're doing something a little bit different than what typically authors do. It's not like you just like, I'm just going to write a book and I'm going to go and, find a publisher or even if it's self-published, like you still went a little bit differently about it. You're really creating more of a brand. It's really like a business, because there's more to it than just that book. You have a lot more going on. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what prompted you to make it more into a movement versus just like a trilogy and just like a book by itself?
I think it really goes hand in hand with the fact that this is my life purpose. And my life purpose, that's how I crafted this. And you're right, I did do it totally differently, but I also probably got to the way of writing this book totally different than most people do. So it's like I started to write the book, and then I realized like I've got so much more to offer to the world, and there's so much more that I can do than just this book. So I talk a lot in my course on Attracting Happiness and Freedom about allowing yourself to be guided and really hearing what you want to do. And that's really all I did. Was I got out of my own way and started connecting to a power that is greater than I am, and started allowing it to give me ideas. And I realized that Musings of an Earth Angel, Samantha Kingston, has this potential to be a company and to be a brand. And there's so much that I can do with that. And it really allows me to not only be living my purpose, but to help so many other people align with their purpose and live a life of happiness and freedom as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I would love to know, as you're like, okay, so more people need to know about this. More people need to know about the brand and just what the message is. So at what point and why did you decide to seek and work with somebody, somebody like me, like a marketing strategist?
Well, basically what happened when I found you, I was ready to launch my course, and I had the book, and the book was being edited, and I knew that I needed a strong platform, and I knew that I needed a strong email list. And I manifested you, actually. I wrote down exactly what it is that I wanted, and I wanted someone that's very knowledgeable in marketing, somebody that knows different ways to engage audiences, and somebody that is very organized, and somebody that is diligent in helping to create things. And I think that you've been all of those things for me. And I was ready to put together this course, and I didn't know how to really do that or how to market it. And I need someone like yourself that knows the ins and outs of all these different platforms, as well as the advertising modalities for the different platforms as well. So you're a lifesaver, and you showed up right on time, like exactly when I started to manifest what I was, or say that this is what I want to manifest. And I saw one of your webinars on Facebook, and it was very, very clear to me that this was, you were brought to me by the divine. So
I love it. That's awesome.
yeah.
And we definitely got some great results in terms of growing your tribe too. So we grew your list. So we've been working together for about 3 months or so, and we grew your list by about 600%. So I mean, that's definitely really, really cool, and definitely very exciting too, because obviously that means more people are gonna know about your message, and they're gonna, obviously spread that message even further too.
Yeah, that's been really exciting. And it's also been really nice for me, and probably a lot of the people listening might be in the same circumstance, is to have you available to even just explain to me how to do things. Like if I want to know, like it's nice to have you to do things for me, but it's also nice as I'm trying to learn to have you available to tell me, like, go in Aweber and do this, or go here and do that. So that's also been really nice for me to have just the access to you to be able to answer those questions on the fly, and to be able to help me with that. So thank you.
Yeah, for sure. No problem. So I would love to know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, even if they're not authors, if they're just, entrepreneurs or bloggers even, you have really embodied being very, very true to yourself and being very authentic as you grow in your business. Can you give us a couple of tips on how you stay authentic in growing and just in business in general?
Yeah, so being authentic is crucial to success, in my opinion. One of my mentors, Gabby Bernstein, always says the only way to be truly lovable is to be authentic. And it's scary and it's hard because, like I said, we're all conditioned to meet a certain mold and to conform to how other people expect us and want us to be. So when you can start to break free from that and really just plug into who you really are, what I found from working with clients is most people don't even know who they truly are, including myself. Until you start to do some of the self-work and self-reflection. So I think it's really important to stay true to who you are. And when you're authentic, what happens is something you start to just vibe in a certain way that only people vibe when they're really being true to themselves. And people feed off of that, and so you become a magnet for the people that you need to bring in and that you're supposed to help. So I think that is really important to be authentic to who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with you. So Suzanne has a course, which is also very, very impressive. It's a 4-week happiness and freedom course, and she does trainings consistently. She has a lot to offer on her blog too. But can you tell us a little bit more about the course in case people are potentially interested in helping themselves find out their life purpose, but also attracting more freedom and happiness into their lives? Because your course is awesome. So I want to make sure we talk about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was so much fun for me to put together. So basically, over the past couple of years, I have done so much research and spent so much time figuring out the key steps to finding happiness and freedom. And because my life purpose is to teach people how to live a life of fulfillment and happiness, I wanted to save people the time and the heartache of having to figure it out for themselves. So I created a 5-step proven process that teaches everyone, no matter where you are in your journey, how you can attract more happiness and freedom. Do you want me to go through the 5 steps really quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first step is just understanding that you have a purpose, and the only way to be truly fulfilled and happy is to align yourself with that purpose. The second step is understanding what self-love is and being able to master it. I know for me, I had always associated self-love with being selfish, and that's actually so far from the truth. And it's so important for people to understand that in order to give and to show up to be the person that you're here to be, you really have to take care of yourself first. And then the third step is flipping negativity to positivity. Unfortunately, we all are faced with a lot of negativity in this world, and I really just want to teach people how to flip it, because you can always look for the silver lining, and you can flip it to positivity, and then you're calling in more positivity and happiness. And then the fourth step is just connecting to a power that is greater than you and allowing yourself to be guided. And the fifth step is surrender and let go. And I use examples from my own life, but I also use examples from the book and Samantha and her story. And the feedback from the course has been phenomenal. People love it and have gotten so much out of it. So I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can learn more about the course and just Suzanne and the trilogy at musingsofanearthangel.com. And you can also download the first 2 chapters of the book, right?
Yes, so the prologue and the first chapter are available for free right now at the homepage, musingsofanearthangel.com. And then the course, you just go to the button that says Attract Happiness, and that's where the course information is.
Awesome. Can you just tell us when you expect the book to be like fully launched? Because you're doing a little bit of a cool book launch itself too, with some other people that are contributing some goodies. Can you share this with the listeners?
Yeah, so I have got spiritual leaders throughout the community to really support me and to really support this message, and they're giving away amazing free material. So, and Gabby Bernstein, Peaceful Mind, Peaceful Life. I've got like 10 to 15 amazing people that have agreed to give away so much free content. There's a Kundalini yoga class that's going to be free, and so much awesome content. If you purchase within the first 2 weeks of launch, then you get all of this stuff for free. I don't have a dollar value yet, but it's a lot. So it's definitely a lot more than the book. And I think the timeline, I'll know this for sure in the next week or so, but I believe the last 2 weeks of September, but that's not a hard timeline yet. So, but I should know that pretty soon.
Yeah. So for you guys to make sure that you don't miss out on this promo is that you sign up for Suzanne's newsletter, you sign up for her list, whether you download one of the chapter or the 2 chapters, or you sign up for one of her webinars that she's going to be doing, and she has available on demand as well. And then you'll always pretty much be in touch with what's going on and when the actual launch happens. So thank you so much for being here, Suzanne. Do you have any like last minute notes or anything that you want to say to the listeners?
Just thank you so much. I'm so honored, and I hope that you guys will check out the story Musings of an Earth Angel, and the character Samantha Kingston is she also blogs, and she's on Instagram at musingsofanearthangel.com. I mean, at Musings of an Earth Angel, if you want to check that out too. So thank you guys so much, and thank you, Kamila. This was great. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for being Thank you, and thanks everybody for watching and listening too. I'm definitely gonna try to do more of these interviews in the future, but definitely check out Suzanne. She's really great.